When I first stood before the world and told you why I created the Labyrinth of Time's Edge and why it will always be free, I knew it would strike a chord with some of you. But what I've seen since is something more. It's a reminder that people are hungry for real games, for real imagination, not corporate leftovers sold at premium prices. I noticed this because my subscribers jumped from 57 to 71. I don't know if it'll be like that when I post this video. If it is, that's wicked. That's great. I really appreciate it. Thank you so very much. If if it doesn't, ah, shucks. Guys, whatever. It's all good. I wanted to do something. I wanted to make the story I wanted to tell. To make the game that's been 30 years in the works. This is the story. This is my story. This is my world of endless possibilities, of endless exploration, and imagination never needs a DLC update or a patch. But it's a text adventure world I love, built in a TUI, which is obviously a text user interface. Sometimes you'll see posts of mine on Twitter or on YouTube or whatever, and I'm like, TUI for life. That's what I mean. Text user interface. It requires a lot less power. It requires a lot more of a simple system, computer system. And you know what? Who doesn't like text user interfaces over flashy, almost nauseating, like artificial display images? Like, who wants to see that? Windows 95, yeah, that's great. Look at Windows now. Look at Apple. Look at the latest version of macOS. That is beyond nauseating. That makes me almost think it's THX 1148. I don't know that movie, but that's the feeling I get is from that movie. It's one of those things where everything looks sterile, almost looks like you're walking into like a morgue almost. How everything is almost so artificial for what it's being used for. It's really horrible. But people like it. Like people love it. And I think it's horrible. I think it's ghastly. Like give me a text user interface, give me something like Macintosh or Mac, what the old Macintosh computers, the SEs, you know, give me one of those with the black and white, monochromed, you know, display and everything like it. Give me that. I want to be able to see that little apple honk at me every time I do an illegal movement on it or illegal command. Give me one of those. So inside the labyrinth, you're gonna find locations, handcrafted one by one. I spare no expense. Every room is handwritten. There is no artificial touch to it, if you will. I know some people do think that. I got this comment from a foolish individual who was like, well, I can read your stuff and it sounds all fake and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, okay, thanks for subscribing, That's what I do. I say thank you for subscribing. That's my way of saying basically, fudge off. But at the same time, you know, I don't have time for that. I don't do that. I don't do, everything within my game, every word I write it, you know. I got Grammarly, the free version of Grammarly to check my grammar and spelling and whatnot. I don't use that stuff. I don't use the artificial stuff. And you know what? If you want to use it and you want to lambast people because you think, your opinion matters, you know, your views matter by openly accusing people who don't do that. But hey, what do I know? I'm not a hypocrite. I don't go around on witch hunts of accusing people of, not being genuine, you know. By that I mean artificial intelligence. I'm not some kind of crazy wacko or anything. But but yeah, somebody accused me of that and I'm like, really? Like I write every word in the game and on the blog. and on Twitter and yeah, everywhere. I don't use AI. I don't do that. But it's funny though when you go out and you're like, "Hey, I'm the first person to write a text adventure in QBasic that's over 3,300 rooms long, you know?" And people are like, "Oh, he didn't do this, he used AI." Yes, because people cannot be artistic and cannot work on projects longer than 4 days than most people because people give up, and I didn't give up. But anyways, what do I know? I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy who wrote a text adventure. 30 years, 3,300 rooms. Look at that. Jeez. Just saying it makes me feel old. Who still uses QBasic? You know? I do. I'm a dad. And I made my own game. But with the Labyrinth Times Edge, there is no season pass. There's no deluxe edition. There's no pay to win. There's no artificial intelligence. No AI. There isn't. It isn't. It's all run by me. I have notebooks filled with rooms mapped out. You know? Just what I do. It's what I do. Because games are supposed to be about wonder, about exploration, about stepping into a world that only you could bring to life in your head. That's what the TUI offers. That's what text adventures bring back. And that's why I'll keep building this world, brick by brick, room by room, until it stands as a monument to the power of human imagination. So, to those who've joined me already, thank you. To those still curious, step into the labyrinth. We won't find loot boxes, you won't find empty promises, but you will find adventure. And maybe, just maybe, you'll remember what games were always meant to be. And I wanted to thank you all for joining me today. Sorry about that little rant there. I was like, I wanted to come out because I was laughing my butt off the other day when I was showing the wife, and it was just funny. And she's also a writer too. Uh, and and it's just like whatever you claim to have done something, to have made something, there's always those there to detract it. It's like when people were mocking Henry Ford, that horrible racist. Everybody was like, you know what? The cars will never take off. You know? Same with planes when the Wright brothers did it. People were like, this is a joke. You know? Those guys went off and did stuff. Me, I'm working on the world's largest text adventure, written in QBasic. And nobody will tell me otherwise or try to hold me back. So thank you, everybody. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, download the game. It's free, always will be. The Labyrinth of Times Edge.com. Goodbye, everybody.